So welcome to our next session, which is towards achieving a demographic dividend, an approach to engaging youth. And with me today is Ryan, who is the technical advisor for HIV at headquarters, and I am the Deputy Director Technical for our Malawi country office. And we're excited to really share this approach that we've used with young people in two different ways, but really getting some very good results in terms of youth participation and engagement and really a whole set of positive youth development. So next slide, please. So why should we be talking about youth? We know currently that the world is really made up of young people, and majorities of countries, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, are really looking at ways in which to harness the potential of young people and make critical investments in their lives so that we can really harness the potential that young people have and that this subpopulation is offering as an economic dividend to countries. And so countries are really looking at making smart investments in terms of education towards the benefits of smaller family sizes. They're looking at engaging. So they're looking at equipping young people to have the right information to access sexual reproductive health services and contraception. So that enables them to have the number of children they want to have and when they want to have them. They're looking at enabling young people stay in schools, complete education, so that they can be competitive in terms of the skill sets they offer when they have the opportunity to kind of engage in the development space. And finally, they're looking at how do we invest to create opportunities for young people to have jobs, be that whether it's small business enterprise or white collar jobs, but really equipping young people to do this. But often we're seeing that, policies have been uninformed and really looking at lived experiences of young people. And we really need to now ensure that young people are key stakeholders in the decision-making processes, that they are actually contributing towards policies related to family planning, sexual reproductive health and rights, and HIV. So that when these 54% are adolescent girls and young women, and 73% is below the age of 35. These critical investments meant that Malawi needed to find the right approach in which to engage young people and make sure that they really contribute to the development process. And I'll turn it over now to Ryan, who will really look at the approach that we took for this.
Well, first off, thank you so much, Sandra, for your wisdom and wonderful awareness of the demographic dividend and why it's so important throughout the world, but particularly in Malawi. And I particularly appreciate the way in which you related so well to our youth champions who were a part of this training. When you were in the front of the room, people lit up and just you could tell why they cared so much about this work and you helped them care. So thank you for your ongoing efforts in this area. Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Ubuntu Olsen, and yes, I got to have the great fortune of working with Sandra in Malawi for the past, oh my gosh, 4 years since 2018 when we brought together a group of rambunctious, rising leaders who really wanted to make a difference in the world around them, and they just needed the tools to do so. And so, based on a positive youth development approach, and alongside those youth themselves, we really wanted to help support building their capacity to advance health policy within the country. So we started off with a participatory training that spoke to the significance of youth leadership. Why you? Why now? And how you as youth could better understand policy, what it's all about, and most specifically, how you as a youth champion could possibly have an impact in your country context at the local, national, and even regional levels. We didn't want the training to end with just a 5-day hoorah. But we really wanted these young people to come to us with their own ideas about how they were going to go back to their own communities and to make a difference. And so at the end of the 5 day training, we actually asked them to come up with a 6 month action plan that they would put in to place with a local organization that they were already affiliated with. And so we watched as these young people went on to take the lessons that they learned in this training and apply them in a myriad of ways. And it was so powerful to see what they were able to do. Not only were we able to influence individuals in their capacity, but also this approach built an entire network of rising leaders who all, through the power of WhatsApp, which is still being used today, hundreds of messages. It's crazy. It continues to help them learn from each other, but also have each other in each other's corners as they try to navigate some of those prickly issues that pop up in this space. Based on the success we had with our first two cohorts, which were delivered in 2018 and 2019, we decided this curriculum was good enough to actually build and out into a whole fledgling program that could then be shared with the Malawian government, which it could then give to other youth programs. So we're excited to see from January moving forward how this curriculum might be utilized in different ways, building on the success of this approach. And finally, one of the other great opportunities we leveraged out of this unique training in Malawi was we adapted it to the West African context. And under the helm and leadership of our wonderful regional director, Modibu Maega, who's on this call, we were able to reach over 1,000 young people throughout 24 countries in West Africa who took the adapted virtual training in French over this last quarter. So, what are the outcomes? What did we see these youth go and do? Well, it's been so wonderful to watch these young people rise into themselves. I don't know if any of you have been trainers before, but when you see it, your participants, it clicks for them and then they go and do. It's the most amazing feeling. And to have these young people have an increased understanding and appreciation of their unique roles as leaders within that policy process, and to have taken numerous actions that have resulted from the training. This includes greater participation at the local, national, and regional levels. It's been wonderful to see that our youth champions are the ones that most people want to have at that conference, want to have speaking, want their opinions. They are well sought after individuals, and I'm so proud. If we could go back, please. In addition to just the youth themselves, we've seen this increased youth engagement, which has ensured that youth voices are represented in these policy spaces. And we've also been able to identify greater opportunities to bring youth to the table, given that now people are aware that youth need to be engaged. So this has really got these policy leaders to understand their importance in bringing people to the table too. And like we said, it's not just the individuals, but really the whole network of people that have been activated to really be mindful of how they, as youth champions, can be engaged. And I know Sandra will tell us just a little bit about some of our specific youth champions who have gone on to do some amazing things. Sandra?
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and I think the energy that the young people have harnessed has really fallen through to both Ryan and myself. We are energized every day when we see all these fantastic stories, and we're just going to share some amazing results based off the training. So the lady, or the young lady on the far left of your screen, Christina, through the training has now not local work but global work. So she is the youth focal person within the global financing facility, both at global, regional, and local level. So she's gone on to do all these great things. And immediately after her is Vincent Tom, who has his own organization, and following the training has been able to really unlock funding from global capes such as FP 2020, and he accessed the $10,000 grant there, and he's gone on to do other amazing things with people locally. We have Protazia, who is really working at the local level, translating policies to end child marriage in the local space. So really working with community leaders and trying to translate those policies and rescuing girls from marriages. And finally, we have Tanaka, who is a young person living with HIV who has harnessed his policy ability to really find a voice for young people living with HIV. He sits within the global governance board on young people living with HIV, but he's also one of our ICFP trailblazers set for this year to actually receive the award. So you can see from the training that we've provided, by inputting all the ideas that they came up with and really putting them into this curriculum, we've really harnessed the potential of young people who have not only done things at the low level, but are doing things and speaking out for young people at different platforms. So I think this is what we wanted to share. We're really excited about this training manual, and I'll hand it back over to Ryan in case he has some closing remarks.
Oh, thank you, Sandra. And I just would go ahead and answer some of the questions we're getting. So we were asked what were some of the what are characteristics of the youth themselves. So just we in our cohorts, we strive for at least parity in gender, so 50-50. We also drew upon rising leaders from different organizations, many of whom we've had already worked with before in one way or another. Most of these young people were in their early 20s, so at that budding age of just wanting to change the world, before being knocked down. No, I'm just joking. And just, yeah, I think they came from a wide range of backgrounds and experiences, but mostly in the early 20s is where that's from, is our demographic.
So just to add, it was gender. We were, sensitive to gender and, different genders, but also we did also put up a call for applications so that we could kind of screen through some of these and get a wider network and be inclusive of, not just national level young people who have the space, but also be cognizant that there's people in the rural areas who we can also engage and build up as champions.
And that was actually one of my favorite things about Tanaka and one of the other young man that we presented on is that they, and even Protasia too, like they all went back to the local village level, tried to translate national policy to the local level, but then also brought local level issues back to the national level. And it was a really powerful interplay to observe how these young people were able to take what they learned and apply it in these different ways with different stakeholders. And I think if we have time for one more question, otherwise we might be at time.
No, can I say just one word?
Of course, Modibo, welcome to the
thank you. Just to thank you, Ryan and Sandra, for this excellent presentation. And I would like, on behalf of our team, acknowledge you again for the excellent work you have done with us, with youth across West Africa. And I want also to stress the point that gender balance was very important. This is something you also stress when we are organizing this workshop. And I can say that young girls were really the key players during the webinars we conducted, which has been also attended by 2 Ministers of Health and organized in synergy with the Ouagadougou Partnership and also WAHO. Thank you for the excellent support, and thank you, Sandra, for sharing the Malawi case.
Okay, thank you so much, Modibo, for that last comment. And thank you, Sandra and Ryan, for the excellent presentation. We really appreciate all this amazing work and you both for sharing with us about it.